So next is production rate changes. So there are two types of in changing the production rate. So first is the overtime and the undertime. So increasing the output rate, changing existing resources is through overtime, while the hours can be reduced during periods through undertime. So ang production rate is it depends on kanang the period or hours na imuhang gina-produce ang isang product. Let's say for example, in manufacturing, workers at manufacturing company. Manufacturing plant can produce 5,000 units per week using 50 hours of labor. So as a result, the production rate per hour would be 100 units. So 5,000 divided 50 hours is equals to 100 units na ilang ma-produce within 50 hours. So minus the ineffective units. So magdepende na siya kayo na may uban na product na ma-produce nimo nga kanang bitaw kanang dili siya perfect. So imaynusa na siya. So I think correct. So next is workforce changes. So changing the size of workforce is usually accomplished through hiring and layoffs. So hiring additional labor usually results in higher costs for demand. Hiring additional labor usually results in higher costs for personal department and for training. So layoffs results in severance pay, additional unemployment, insurance costs, as well as low employee morale. So workforce changes. If kanang production is kanang increase, if ang production is increase, of course mag-discharge sila utaw, magbuha sila utaw. So if in other hand, if kanang production is increase, they are a large number of workers in order to accommodate and to operate the maximum capacity. So of course kay nagtangtang mo silang tao inigabot sa time na ang ilang production rate is increase na sad. So they are in order to ma-fulfill nila ang ilang maximum capacity within nga period of time. So next is inventory changes. Inventory changes is difference between inventory totals for the last reporting period and the current reporting period and changes in inventories. So inventories changes, so hindi mo dyan na ito malitayo, no? In business, hindi mo dyan na permanent na anak dyan mo na dyan yung level na makita mo every day. So naman dyan yung changes. Dili pareha ang item na masong every day. So in inventory, so there are changes na ma-change. Let's say for example, if at the end of the February is was 400,000, then pag-abot of March is 500. So 100,000 na inventory changes. And inventories frequently build up during times of low demand to help during times of high demand. The doing to raise carrying costs can be in needing extra warehouse space. So, next is, and lastly is facilities, equipment, and transportation. So, typically required long-term capital investments in siya. Traditional grid planning techniques rarely incorporate short-term modifications in facilities and equipment due to associate capital expenses. So, to handle this, naiubanan is is to handle periods of high demand, they possible rent like warehouse mga trucks. So, let's say for example sa Shopee no. So delivery man nila ha. So mag-deliver man sila. Dili sila mo buy sa nga para bitaw tunon para deliver do ay dili sila mo buy but mo rent na sila in order to ma 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 makasave as one aside lang makasave sila ma-deliver sa kung tawag nga without bitaw dako ang ilahang mabayaran cost. So I think that's all for aggregate planning options.
Okay, so for the next one, we have to describe how to evaluate, excuse me, level production strategy and chase demand strategy. So when we say level production strategy, when we heard level, so it's the actual meaning, level. So the production rate is the same for each month. You know what I mean? So when they use this strategy, when planning ahead of time for about 12 months, they forecast what will happen. And so they will use this level strategy and, for example, a beer production company. So they will forecast what will be the demand for January and for the whole year. Okay, for 2024, let's say 2024, they will forecast the demand. Okay, for January, there are many occasions in that month. So, okay, they will make 3,000 bottles every month. So that's the capacity. So when we say level, they don't make 4,000 bottles in February or March. They will make the same 3,000 bottles every month of that year. So when we say 3,000 January, 3,000 for February, and so on. Okay, they made that because the capacity is they want to level the workforce and the cost so that they will not change it anymore. That's why they use level strategy. Am I being clear now? Yes? Okay, so that's really understandable, right? So I will move on to the next. I forgot. There is a backlog. So when we say backlog or backover, when we say January and February is in demand for beer, right? So that 3,000 bottles will be in demand. So they can support that 3,000 demand every month. And when March comes, so that is not in demand for beer. Let's say, for example, that is not in demand. So they will still make 3,000 bottles in the month of March. So in the April, when it is summer, the demand will be higher. Let's say, for example, the demand will be 5,000 bottles every month. And they will only make 3,000 for the month of April. What they will do? They will get the 2,000 from the demand that is not, yeah, when in the month of March, there is 3,000 bottles. And it is not in demand, so maybe just, the stock is still 3,000 or maybe, yes, or it got sold over 1,000, so there is still 2,000 left. So that backover will use 2,000 from the month of March, and that will be used for the demand in April. Yes, you understand? Yes, that is backover. So we'll move on to the chase demand strategy. Chase demand strategy is the production rate equals to the demand of that period of time. So when we say for the month of January to December, the demand is changing, right? It is not always the same because there is a season or something like that. So when in January the demand is higher. So when in December 2023 they will forecast for that month of, that is a forecast. That strategy is their forecast. So they forecast beforehand. So for the month of January to March, they forecasted that is in demand, right? So they will hire 500 workers to work, and every month the capacity of the production rate is changing because of the demand. For example, the demand for January is 5,000 bottles of beer. They will hire 50 people to make 5,000 bottles of beer for the month of January. In February, the demand is 10,000. They will make 10,000. So they equal their production rate to the demand. So when the demand is changing, the workforce is also changing, right? Because 50 people cannot make that 10,000 bottles of beer for the month of February. So that's why they hire 50 other people to make that 5,000 over like the January, 5,000 from January, then it doubles. So meaning they will get another workforce for to make their 5,000 over the bottles. Okay. So in March, the demand is low. Like the demand is little over 2,000. What will happen from 10,000 from the month of February, the 10,000 from February down to 2,000 bottles in the month of March. So what will happen is that they will reduce the workforce, right? They will reduce the workforce to lessen the cost because the company or the manufacturing company doesn't want to spend a lot of money on workforce that to make a lot of bottles of beer when it is not in demand. That is why it is called chase demand strategy, because they will just chase the demand. If ever the demand is low, they will cut their workforce, and that is called layoffs. And when the demand is high again, they will hire another workers. So I guess it is more which has the most advantage is the chase demand strategy for a business, because it is nice that when it is high, you just hire workers, and that will reduce your cost for wages, right? If they are not producing a lot of bottles when it is not in demand, so it will save a lot of money for the company. Yes, I guess that's it for my two strategies in the aggregate planning.
This is the describe ways of disaggregate and aggregating plans using master production, scheduling, and material requirements planning. So what is master production scheduling? So the master production schedule is a statement of how many finished items are to be produced and when they are going to be produced. So it is technically used for 6 or to 12 months of horizon. So the purpose of this is to translate the aggregate plans of an individual items. So when doing a master production schedule, it helps the managers to which product are they going to prioritize. So for example, in a backlog, if you have some backlog and the customer has an order already, so you need master scheduling so that you could put into the schedule what to prioritize so that you can deliver the product to the customer. So the next one is material requirements planning. So the material requirements planning is about it's a forward-looking demand-based approach for planning the production of manufactured goods and reviewing materials and components to minimize unnecessary inventories and reduce costs. So these focuses on the dependent demand, the bill of labor, and the end items. So when using material requirements planning, we need to is where you manage all your materials. So if ever you're in a certain store and let's say for example in the next month there will be no demands, there is a less demand for sardines, then you're going to decrease your if you're going to order a sardines, then you're going to decrease so that you could also lessen the cost when you are going to buy the sardines because it has a lower demand in the next month. So yeah, so I think that would be all for the yes, with this aggregation of the master production scheduling and the material supply. So also moreover, it is also the scheduling of materials and when you're going to buy. And in that time, you're also going to analyze what items to buy and also when determining the how many items to buy or what items to buy, we could also think of what to prioritize, items are we going to prioritize, and in there, from that, we could also determine which materials we should put our budget into. So, yeah, I think I will be also for the next coming week.
So the next learning objective is capacity requirements planning. So the concept and application of capacity requirements planning. So it is the process of determining the potential needs of your project. So the goal of capacity planning is to have the right resources available when you need them. So resources could mean like individuals with right skills, time available to add another project or the necessary budget. So capacity requirements planning helps businesses with budgeting and scaling. So they can identify the optimal levels of production. So it also helps determine how services are offered in the appropriate time frames and staff required to meet current demand and cover all operational costs. So for example, when you run a flower shop and your busiest time of the year is during Valentine's Day. So in this case, you would need to use the capacity requirements planning to identify if you're gonna need to hire more employees or you're gonna need to restock more flowers before the arrival working. So that's it.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
thank you so much.
Okay, that's it for our discussion for this afternoon, right?